Hello there, everybody. Today we're going to be looking at Charizard, a very awesome looking but generally slept on Pokemon here in Pokemon Unite. I think the Charizard is actually a lot better than people give him credit, and I'm going to show you how to play him the right way in order to maximize your damage output and your survivability. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to really quickly here show you guys right after this. I'm going to show you the stats, the moves, and the different base damages of all the different moves. And then I'm going to show you guys the moves in action. I'm going to show you guys the preferred items for Charizard, and then I'm going to show you some gameplay. So sit tight, and we'll get into it. Alrighty, so here we are. We're going to look at the different moves and their base damage first. What I want to first point out to you guys, which is very important, is that the attack style for Charizard is Physical Attacker. What does this mean? This means that the damage done by Charizard is physical, as in the thing that the stat that scales Charizard's damage is the normal attack stat, not special attack, which might confuse you because you might be looking at Charizard, all the flamethrowers and stuff, and go, that's a special attacker. No, physical attacker here, and that's going to be really important when it comes down to our build and our play style. So let's go ahead, scroll down, and let's talk more about him. So first of all, the passive for Charizard is Blaze. When the Pokemon is at half HP or less, its critical hit rate is increased. You crit more as you're below half HP. What does this mean? First of all, it's weird because this actually really shows that he's built as a normal attacker, because crit rate is basically a normal attack stat. Crit is what normal attack people who are normal attackers do. It's not special attack. Special attackers don't crit very much. So you do kind of want to be hovering below half HP, but not too much below a half HP as Charizard, and having some capabilities of maintaining that low HP is actually really useful for him. Let's go ahead and look at the basic attack now. Base attack inflicts continuous damage. After evolving, the distance of the basic attack increases. If the opponent is burned, the damage inflicted is increased. So basically, anything that you burn a Pokemon with, after the Pokemon is burned, your basic attacks do more damage. There's no boosted attack. There's just the standard attack here. Standard attack base damage at level 15 is 463. This will scale with your attack stat. Going on now to what you start with Flame Burst and Fire Spin as your first two options here. We'll talk about Flame Burst first. Attacks with a bursting flame, leaving opposing Pokemon burned. So basically, a little bit of damage and then burns them, which is a damage over time, a dot effect. You can then upgrade that to Flamethrower or Fire Punch. Flamethrower attacks with an intense blast of fire, leaving opposing Pokemon burned. You can see here that it is a physical damage, so that's the attack stat. Again, like I said, he's a normal attacker, not a special attacker. And you'll see here that the base damage at level 15 is 1,169. There's something important to keep in mind about this base damage, all right? And that is that base damage doesn't include any modifiers from any additional attack damage that you might have. Some of these abilities, they all have their own unique formula that's being calculated behind the scenes, and some will scale harder than others. I do not know the formulas for Charizard. I don't know if Flamethrower scales harder than Fire Punch or not, but it's something to keep in mind. The other thing is that this is a ranged attack, and so you'll be able to keep more distance here with Flamethrower, whereas Fire Punch attacks with a heavy punch and unleashes damage. It can burn Pokemon and push back by it. So this one will go ahead and is a dash. You can see right here it shows that it's a dash, and it will basically do a bit of damage, can burn, and then moves your Pokemon as well. So very useful for keeping some amount of distance that you can keep from or towards, getting towards or away from the enemy Pokemon. All right. Now let's go ahead to the other ability, which is you start with Fire Spin. Encircles opposing Pokemon in the area of effect with a vortex of fire, also decreasing their movement speed for a short time. What I want to point out real quick here is that this would be the base damage at level 15. You're not going to have Fire Spin at level 15, so I wouldn't really think about this number right here. I'd be looking at these guys. Fire Blast. Blast Intense Blasts. Intense all-consuming fire, dealing damage over time to opposing Pokemon, while the flames continue to burn on the ground and decreasing the movement speed of opposing Pokemon for a short time. Okay. So basically what this is this is all about an area of effect amount of damage. It's a good amount of damage right here. Look at this. That's a lot, but that's probably assuming that you're hitting a lot of that DOT, a lot of that damage over time. Fire Blast is going to be useful for a very team fighty heavy focused build. It's going to be something that you want to be kind of staying at range with Fire Blast. Like a Fire Blast Flamethrower sounds more reasonable for a build than a Flare Blitz than a Fire Blast and Fire Punch would, because Fire Blast is all about staying back, putting damage out, and then keeping them in it hopefully for a period of time, and placing your damage from further away. Flare Blitz charges forward, cloaked in fire, throwing opposing Pokemon, and grants a user a shield. So, what Flare Blitz is Flare Blitz is another dash, and it's all about being up in front of the Pokemon. You're trying to get close to them. You're charging in. You're throwing them. You're using some CC. But then you're up in their face, and we're gonna look at the defense here, the defense stats a little bit for Charizard, and they're better than some, but they're not better than others. And so your play style is going to really have a big effect onto what you're going to choose. I think there's multiple ways of playing this. I think I would probably suggest Flamethrower paired with Fire Blast if you're going to do that. But I think Flamethrower plus Flare Blitz can be okay. Your playstyle is going to change, though, and that's why I think people underestimate Charizard. He's listed as a novice Pokemon, but I really don't think that's the case if you're going to be playing him well. For example, your damage, your whole basic attack stat, like your basic attack allows you to move while doing this continual damage, and it increases the range as you grow, as you kind of level up, right? So basically, or as you evolve, as it says right up here. Basically, one playstyle that you could do would be something like a Flamethrower, Fire Blast, or even Flamethrower, Flare Blitz, where you're backing up and they're running into your auto attacks for a little while. You're throwing out flamethrowers while you're keeping your distance, and then as they get low, you go in with a Flare Blitz. That's how you could play that. Or you could play as a ranged mage, basically. Fire Blast and Flamethrower, and then go in using your ultimate if you needed to have additional damage. Generally speaking, what I suggest is having at least one of these dashes. Flare Blitz or Fire Punch. I think having at least one is a really good move. If you really want to be up in their face, which I think is a generally smart thing to do while having some movement capability, my favorite right now is actually Fire Punch and Flare Blitz. But Fire Blast does do a lot of damage. It's really good in team fights. So I think that another really good setup is Fire Punch and Fire Blast. I think that's pretty good as well. Let's talk about the ultimate though. The Unite ability, Seismic Slam, flies into the air and shoots down attacks, ends with a grab of the opponent and throwing them into the ground. Very important to know with Charizard here is that when you first use your Unite ability, you fly up in the air. You're unstoppable, but you're not untargetable. You can still die. It allows you to do a lot of damage though in a range, and you're moving very fast. Do not use your second part of the ability, the Seismic Slam, straight away. You want to use some of this extra mobility, some of this extra speed and extra damage that you're getting from being able to fly in the air to just put a lot of damage down, and then when they're trying to run away, then you Seismic Slam, and you do that by using that Unite ability again. Let's go ahead and talk about the stats now, the base stats. First things first, if you remember from the Venusaur video, HP is about 1,000 higher. It's not a ton amount of extra HP, right? The attack, though, a lot higher than Venusaur's was, which makes sense because Venusaur's a special attacker, but only 463. This is not a huge amount of extra attack. It's really not for an auto attack based Pokemon. But now let's look at a couple other things. Let's look at the defense here, and let's look at the special defense. Pretty evenly balanced here with slightly more defense, maybe a little bit better at going against more basic attackers here. But what I really want to point out is that this guy is not a glass cannon. This guy's meant to be able to scrap a little bit. You're not as tanky as a tank would be, and that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? But you have enough tank to be in there a little bit. You want to be moving in and out of battle as Charizard, trying to kind of keep your health around that half rate so you can get lots of crits, while also maintaining a good amount of HP pool for those bursty kind of Pokemon, because you can be burst down, especially by somebody who's going to be doing some special attack damage. Your speed's pretty much normal. Again, your special attack is very low. Not surprised there. You really don't do any special attack damage. You don't have any special attack abilities, and you don't have a boosted special attack. You know, you are a physical attacker throughout and throughout. So, with that being said, your HP pool not particularly great. Your attack not the highest in the game, but your defense and your special defense allows you to play in and out. And that's going to be the playstyle that you need to get used to as Charizard. It's not all in all the time. You're not a tank. You can't handle it. And it's not all out, all back all the time. That's why my favorite thing is to mix a dash with another area of another range damage. Something like a flamethrower and a flare blitz is pretty good, or a fire punch and fire blast, I think, are your best combinations. It allows you to have a ranged option while also keep maintaining some ability to move quickly and close the distance and keep hitting them. But you do want to be pulling back while they're coming at you with their burst, and then going in when they're trying to run away from you. And I'm going to show you that in the gameplay. But first, let's go ahead and show you guys the different abilities for Charizard. Alrighty, I am going in here with a few items, and the reason why I didn't go in with any items with Venusaur, because Venusaur's special attack was so significant that I wanted to show you how strong he was without items, whereas Charizard's a little bit the opposite. Charizard needs items, really, to be particularly effective. I like Flame Burst to start because Flame Burst is going to give you a little bit of range and a good amount of, like, the best amount of CC steal that you can have, like a burst damage steal. But here's what I want you to kind of watch what I'm going to do. And I do it all the time with Charizard. Charizard is mobile in terms of you're switching forward and back. You're moving all around people, and you're trying to kind of stay on the edge of your ability. When you're winning the fight, you want to be in front of them, stopping them from going past you. When you're losing the fight, you want to be pulling them back towards you. Something more like this, where you're kind of like staying right at the edge. You're getting your damage down, but you're just staying at the edge, right there, where you're just barely in range of them, and you're not allowing them to get like really good hits on you. So I like Flame Burst and a Fire Spin for the starter. Fire Spin, as you can see, kind of, here, I'll show you the damage. It's okay, but it's not a lot, and it's such a small area of effect that it's really hard to get big value from Fire Spin in terms of in lane. It's a bit of a weak spell to actually have to start with, and so what we're gonna go here. We have Fire Flamethrower or Fire Punch. We're gonna start here with the Fire Punch build, and so Fire Punch is this: you go forward and you knock them back a little bit. It's a little bit of damage, but it's not really much of a CC. So boom. Actually, it's not bad damage at all. Let's go ahead and see what it is on its own real quick here. We'll push it back towards you. We're level 5 right now. We went for Fire Punch. Like I said, I like to mix one movement with one ranged. So there you go. There's our hit. It does, with the burn, just about 1,000 damage. But it's important to remember that once they're burned, you do more damage with your auto attacks. So there you go. And so that's kind of an important thing to keep in mind. But the damage, the utility of Fire Punch isn't in the damage. It's in the burn and the closing of the distance, all right? Let's go ahead and go a few more levels up here. We're now going to grab Fire Blast. Again, some people like to have full mobility. I don't. We're going to try to hit him towards the center there. I like Fire Blast because when you have this combination, you now have options, right? You can, you have this dash, which is always useful. And you also have a Fire Blast, which does a good amount of CC, or a good amount of slow that's happening here. You see that I have 12 seconds of slow from that Fire Blast. I think that may have been 2, though. We'll wait for it to reset. But it's also a decent amount of damage. It gives you a little bit of range. So now you have some ranged with some decent amount of damage. And then you get, looks like 4, 5 seconds of slow if they stay in there. 6 seconds of slow total, 2,000 total damage, whereas that does about 1,000 damage. But it does burn. And so you can see kind of here that you have a few different options for your combination. Let's say that they're fighting you and you're dying. Put down a Fire Blast, and then get out of there. Now they're slowed, and while they're sitting here slow taking damage, you're already nice and far away. Let's say that the opposite's happening. Let's say that they're coming towards you and you're fighting them like this. Put down a Fire Punch to kind of knock them back. Actually, I wouldn't do that. I think basically your combo is always going to be Fire Blast into Fire Punch. There may be times if you're trying to gain, like if they're running away and you need to make up some distance, then you go like that, and then you throw that out to get the slowdown, and then you go in for your auto attacks. But basically, if they're coming towards you, if you're trying to kind of keep some distance, you're going to Fire Blast, walk them back. When they turn to run away, then you go back in and continue your damage. That's the play style of any all-arounder, is a in and out sort of play style. You're not always in, you're not always out. Okay, let's look at the Unite move, though, because this one's pretty cool. Like I said, the first thing you want to keep in mind is that when you first use your Unite move, you're going to go up here, and you can have all of this damage happening in the circle, and it's really great. And then you use it before it goes off on cooldown. So that's a good amount of damage. That's 17,000 total damage, nearly 18,000 total damage in a very short period of time. And that's not even the optimal way of doing it. Oh, hello? Come back to me, controller. Thank you. You have perfectly fine batteries. What I want to show you now is we're going to go ahead and turn off and then back on move cooldowns, because this is the proper way of going about with this build. You're going to want to Fire Blast into a... Ignore that happened. It didn't auto target me in there, and I thought that it would. You'd be Fire Blasting into a Fire Punch, and then you're doing all of your auto attack. You're watching that Unite ability. Unite ability is about to go off cooldown, and then you slam them. And that's going to be your maximum amount of damage for this kind of a build. You have the Fire Blast first because the Fire Blast is doing all of that damage right there while you're trying to get in close, and then use your Unite ability to pump out damage from the air. Again, it's really important to make sure you're only using your Unite ability when you have to. When they're running away and they're about to get away, or when it's about to go on to cooldown. You don't want to use it too early, because then you're not flying anymore with this super long range and a huge amount of mobility, and that's not very good. So let's go ahead and show you the other build now. Alrighty, so as a Charizard, your jungle's okay, but it's not great. You're actually pretty slow in the jungle overall. You don't do a ton of immediate damage, but it's not the worst. There's definitely a lot worse out there. You can make a jungle Charizard work, but he's actually pretty much better in a bot lane situation. That's about as good as it gets for Charizard at the moment. We're going to go ahead, though, and get right to it. We're going to go ahead and pop ourselves up a few levels here. Flamethrower. All right, Flamethrower. Look at the range on that. That is a really, really good amount of range for this guy. It does a burn, and then it does about, looks like with the burn, 715 damage. So not as much as the Fire Punch, but the big difference is that this is a ranged attack. So one of the things you could do, in the earlier game, this might be a little bit stronger, because you have a ranged attack and the Fire Spin, which allows you to put down quite a bit of damage from a ranged area without even being within a melee attack area range for most Pokemon. But it's weaker, you know. I think it scales probably a bit harder than Fire Punch would, but a lot of your damage, you are an auto attacker. A lot of your damage is here. So although it's a nice thing to have that range that can snipe people from afar or begin a fight with a ranged ability, I don't think that it's not typically going to be the best set for you. I don't believe. I wouldn't recommend it, at least. But if you are going to go Flamethrower because you like it, I suggest Flare Blitz as well. Flare Blitz, because otherwise you have no way to close the distance, and you are ultimately a melee attacker. One of the things I want to really quickly show you, though, is that Flare Blitz, unlike Fire Punch, requires there to be a target. There's a good thing about this, and there's some bad things about this. First of all, it does a good amount of damage. I should show you the damage again first. Let's go ahead and just real quickly turn off move cooldown so I can kind of show you a little bit better here. Flare Blitz does more damage than you might see from Fire Punch. It's actually about the same, and it doesn't always burn, but it does have that hindrance right there that happens, and we're going to see it real quick here. It knocks him up, and that hindrance, that knock up, is what allows you to really get some damage down on an enemy. But what I want to make very clear is that it can be used, if you're going to go this, to do some funky things across barriers and stuff like that. So if you are going to go with Flare Blitz, you do have to be targeting something, but it can be things that aren't another enemy Pokemon. So if you're fighting somebody over here and you need to go, that's a good way to get out real quick. Keep that in mind if you do run Flare Blitz. Again, it's not actually what I would recommend for most plays. The reason why I kind of like it with the Flamethrower is that you can start an attack, you're pulling back, they're coming at you, and you're just putting down your range. As they turn around, you go, nope, and now you've stunned them, you've knocked them up, and that allows you to change the fight and get in front of them. So it is really decent CC for a short period of time. It allows you to kind of switch the momentum onto them. But I don't recommend going Flare Blitz plus Fire Punch. I think that having one ranged move is really smart, because if they flash, if they get out of your range in any way, you need to flash after them or use your ultimate, and I really don't think that's the way to go. I have seen a lot of people go with double dash moves. I just don't think that it's the most valuable way to do it. They don't scale particularly well into the late game, and it leaves you kind of, you can close distance nicely, you can get away decently, but you can't secure kills very easily. And so I definitely suggest going one range and one dash, one closer. If I had to choose, I'd probably go with Fire Punch and Fire Blast rather than Flare Blitz. But it is very important to remember that you do need to have a target. for Flare Blitz, but it can be any target. Any target at all. You can go ahead and hop over walls and do funky stuff and have some really decent escapes from that. All right, so there you go. Those are the moves, and I'm going to show you guys the items, then we're going to get into the game. All right, so looking at these items here, we're going to start with basically any score items that might be useful. Attack weight. Attack weight's pretty good here on Charizard. You get increased attack damage, and when you're making scores, it does also give you a flat amount of attack damage. Attack damage is good for Charizard. He scales pretty hard with it. And the reason why I can tell you that, even though I don't know the formula, is because his attacks do a good amount of damage, even though he doesn't have a ton of attack weight. That must mean they're scaling pretty well. And so any bit of extra attack, I think, is going to give you a lot of extra damage. Charizard is really relying upon his ult a lot like Machamp is. And so anything that can kind of help give you more damage during that ult process is pretty good. Attack weight's one of those. Aeos Cookie. I don't mind Aeos Cookie basically on any Pokemon right now. I think it's okay. It does a good job of increasing your health. And basically the more health that you have, the longer you can play the game and the more damage you can put down. I think the Aeos Cookie is okay for Charizard. I think that there's plenty of tanky-ish Charizard builds. His whole damage kit is based upon doing a lot of damage over a long period of time. And so living longer can certainly help. Score Shield's pretty good for just about anybody right now. It can help you score. Scoring is good. Scoring can also heal you. Something very important about Score Shield is that sometimes you want to have a small dunk in order to get a quick heal. And it's very important. A lot of people don't keep that in mind. Into the attacks, Muscle Band is phenomenal for Charizard. First of all, as you may have noticed, Charizard does a lot of burn-based damage over time, and he does a lot of auto-attacking. When basic attacks hit, the damage is increased by 3% of the opposing Pokemon's remaining HP. That is big. So that's like having another burn on top of your burn. You also get more basic attack speed, which means more damage, damage over time. Charizard does continuous damage, so this is especially useful for him. And then more just general attack damage. Over here, you'll see that Scope Lens is another great one for him. It gives a critical hit rate, which we know that Charizard utilizes very nicely, especially below half HP. And critical hit damage. That scales so nicely together. Scope Lens is probably one that you more or less need to have on Charizard. I would say most times you'll need that. Wise Glasses is a no-go. Do not get anything with special attack, really. It's just not good. Energy Amplifier is actually one that I think can do really well on Charizard, but it's a bit situational. At level 20, after the Pokemon uses its Unite move, damage to the Pokemon deals is increased by 200 or 21% for a short time. What does Charizard's Unite move do? He goes flying into the air and puts out a ton of damage to anybody within his area of effect of his basic attack, and then he has a nice big attack at the end. This is pretty good for him. This, when utilized properly, in theory, should mean that you're getting a lot of damage for a long period of time. And the Unite move charge rate is pretty nice as well. So I think that Energy Amplifier is one of the few Pokemon that can really benefit from it would be a Charizard. Rocky Helmet, I mean, again, the defense, like having more health and defense is pretty good. I think that these guys are generally underused, but Rocky Helmet in particular, you do damage to people who are damaging you. And I don't really think that Charizard's going to get a lot of benefit from that. Leftovers, again, not really good in any situation that I've experienced so far. Focus Band can be decent on Charizard, however, not the best. He has a little bit of a health pool, which can actually make it decently nice for him. But in particular, what this does, what Focus Band does, when the Pokemon drops low HP, each second for 3 seconds, it recovers 8% of the HP has lost. And Charizard dying during his ult is really, really sad. This would prevent that. And so I think this is a viable, but probably not in most builds, optimal choice. It may depend on who you're facing against, which you wouldn't know until you get into the game, or who your team is, or your playstyle could also be affected by that. In the other category, Buddy Barrier. Buddy Barrier is good. It is just simply good, but probably not great for Charizard. One of the Pokemon that I don't think gets huge benefit from Buddy Barrier would be Charizard. The shield's nice, but you are pretty hard to hit anyway, and you don't benefit as much from this as some of the other Pokemon would. Float Stone, however, is pretty good on Charizard. Increased movement speed when not in combat is just nice to get around the map. Charizard that can get around the map can make more pressure on the map, and Charizard's good at making pressure, especially when his ultimate's up. And then it gives you a little bit of basic attack as well. A little bit of attack, a little bit of movement speed. I think this is great for Charizard. XP share should not be used on Charizard in most cases. XP share is all about getting more XP when you're around Pokemon that you're not a teammate and you're not last hitting. You should probably be last hitting a fair bit though as Charizard. I don't think XP share has much of a place for him. Let's get into a game though, and I'll show you how I play Charizard in Pokemon Unite and why I think he's actually better than a lot of people give him credit. Alrighty, here we are. We're about to go into a game. I currently have Muscle Band, Scope Lens, and Attack Weight. I'm gonna check to see if there's anything I would switch that out with. I might go with a Score Shield, which is gonna give me hopefully a little bit more ability to heal in lane, which I think is gonna be fine. I like Muscle Band and Scope Lens otherwise. I think, again, Amplifier is pretty good. In terms of battle items, you can have a couple of different choices with Charizard. Eject Button's probably still the best. I don't think Gold Getter is particularly great. Full Heal can be pretty good. Remove Status Condition. It makes you immune to hindrances. I think that's okay. Probably X Attack or X Speed would be best for him if you're not going Eject Button, though. I'm going to be going Eject Button, and we'll go to the bot path here. Since everyone else is going to want to go top. Gardevoir probably should be top. So, all right, we're going to be with Garchomp in lane. Lane Chomp, I think, is okay. Unfortunately, we're probably going to have to fight for last hits because Garchomp's going to want to scale, but so do I. Gardevoir is going to want to as well. We don't have a very good early team here. If we're against Venusaur, we're probably going to have to give away a lot of early XP and just kind of play a little bit passive. I'm going to keep that in mind here. As we're kind of going through their team. If it's Lucario, Venusaur, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt big time. They're going to be able to close distance on us really fast and take us out particularly fast. Having some, this is one of the things that makes me think about maybe going Flamethrower, honestly, so I can have a chance of getting some XP from that. No, I'll take this then. You're going to take our XP? I tried. Oh well. That really annoys me when the jungler takes XP from the lane. He shouldn't have. I'm lucky I'm able to get up in time. Just keep some damage on this guy, and then we're gonna. Okay, I think that he got that, but we're gonna actually get this, and both of them maybe. All right, we're able to kill them both, and then I'm gonna go ahead and dunk. Can I get this in time to kind of even that out? I'm going to try. If I can get this XP, we've basically evened out everything there. And I scored some points, so we really want to make sure we get this. Anyway, okay, so what I did back there was probably not the best choice, honestly, trying to steal one of his XPs. But I really think that if you're a jungler and you're stealing your teammates' XP, don't be surprised if they steal yours, because you kind of deserve it, to be honest. We're just going to go in here and get some Fire Spin going in the middle. We're going to maybe sit back here. This guy's stepping up too far. We're going to go in, put it down some damage. I'm going to flash because I don't want him to just instantaneously kill me. That guy is so bad. That was a mistake by him. Okay, that went all right for us. Greninja could have absolutely killed him there. And Greninja's coming back now to lane. So I'm going to go take his jungle. This might feel weird. I probably wouldn't do this in a ranked game, to be honest. But this guy doesn't seem like he's actually jungling. He stole lane XP. And then he's going right back there when there's nothing up there to take. So I'm going to go ahead and say that I'm going to do what I need to do to kind of just try to get ahead here. And right now, the answer to that is go into the jungle and take some XP. So that's what we're going to do. There's a Venusaur down bot now. We're going to grab Fire Blast. They do a good job of that. We're going to kind of just push bot now and get ready to fight for this next big objective. We're going to just kind of run back this way. They're getting some good dunks. Happy to see that. Where's this guy? Is he still here? We're staying in front of them. Look at how we're kiting. We're staying at a distance that our auto attack's going to hit. And then we're going to jump in there. And we're going to flash out of that. I didn't know what he had on me. So I decided to flash. I was worried that maybe he might be able to continually dive in there. We're getting ready for a Fire Blast here. Our teammate died. We were able to get out of the range of that Venusaur, which was really good. Are they on that? They're close to it. Gonna put that in there. I knew that he'd be in there. Oh, okay, we got this guy, I think. I need to get out of there, though, because this guy can absolutely bonk me. And then, I don't know if I'm going to heal any from this, but we can get this without actually getting close enough to take any damage. So, while we kind of wait for some more health options here. We won't take 2. We'll take 1. We're definitely looking to get this Dread, but unfortunately, it's just kind of tough because we don't have a team really right here. Good damage. Good AoE damage right there. Look at that. We don't want to really fight up front with these guys. I'm going to flash. What? What was that? I wasn't even close to that dude. That definitely blows my mind a little bit. Unfortunately, our top laners are still at top when they really need to be down bot. That really sucks. Our top lane definitely made a mistake there. Top's job was to come down a bot and not focus on something that wasn't important. And Rotom is not important, guys. Just so you know. We do get our level up, though, and we're ready to go ham into this. This guy's going to go in. And, can I score here? I get the score. I don't know what the heck that aiming was pretty weird right there. This guy's gonna get out. We're gonna go and defend our lane here. We have a lot of options. We're gonna kill that guy pretty easily. And I think that guy's gonna run. Alright, we're doing fine. We can absolutely kill this guy. Should be able to. Alright, and we have enough health that we can actually be fine in here too. Alright, we're just going to kind of let that go a little bit. Focus on trying to get some XP. And I'm going to go heal. So yeah, unfortunately, the top lane's just sat top the whole time. Which is not the way to do this, guys. It's really not. Can I go through that? Yeah, I thought I could. So both of your abilities, both of your dashes can go through walls. But your other dash needs to have something else available for it. That's so weird. That's incredible. That's incredible that his ult was back up in time. And yet, meanwhile, our top lane is just doing the same thing that they've been doing the whole time. I don't think they understand that this is actually not helpful to us. So we're going to lose a lot of HP there, a lot of XP from losing our the biggest objective that is in the game, which is that. Other than of course, Zapdos. Don't focus Rotom, guys. Rotom is not good. Zapdos is Drednaw is very good. So these guys just continually sitting up top and just sitting on Rotom is not good for us. It's a bad play. But what do you expect, you know? Look at their level. That dude's level fucking 13. And I'm level 12, which is pretty good. But our top lane is level 10. So hopefully that kind of puts into perspective why you need to be going for Drednaw and not Rotom. Is that this is, at the end of the day, a level-based game. You don't buy equipment. You don't collect gold. You're not doing anything like that. There is nothing like that in this entire game. So what does that mean that your goal is? And the answer to that is that your goal is to get XP as fast as possible and as much of it as possible. And so if you're not doing that, if that's not your priority all the time, you're doing it incorrectly. Gonna keep this guy from getting too much for him. Use a stun here, and there you go. He's dead. I don't know why our Gardevoir is fighting 3 of them up top. I can't go for I might try for a dunk here. I've got a big possible dunk, but I need to be willing to use my eject. I expect their Blastoise to come blasting in here. That's big. That's pretty big. I'm here in time too. I'm just kind of putting damage down on this guy. And now I'm going to go ahead and try to do a ton of damage while staying a bit away. And we got it. Whoo, boy. Wowzers. Whoa, that was a fight right there, dudes. This guy's going back to dunk, which is the right call for him. Ah, I can't go over that long of a wall, I suppose. I mean, this guy can keep chasing me. I don't really care. As long as we keep them from getting too many more dunks, we're probably fine. Whoo, all right. We were able to win that one by basically pure luck. I don't care how many points they got. You really don't want to be what the Gardevoir and the Crustle were doing in that game. You really don't want to just be sitting top the whole time. So we get the MVP. Crustle and Gardevoir, who sat up top the whole time, did not. That's one of the times I think the MVP was a good call. But what I wanted to kind of really point out is that I was trying to keep my range and just get a little bit of auto attack damage down until it was time to fight. Lucario was low, and everybody else was a little bit low. A lot of ults had been used, and I needed to start disrupting that. And so that's when I decided to go in. We were able to get a nice big dunk right before the Zapdos fight because we saw people up top, and I was expecting Blastoise to stop me, but he went right for the mid, and I don't mind that at all. So good game right there. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Charizard's good, guys. Charizard is good. I think the problem is that people think he's like Lucario and they're up in their face, and you really can't be. You're keeping your distance. You're disrupting when you can, and you're putting a lot of damage down. And kind of trying to use your seismic to secure the kill. So, not bad at all. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.